We give thanks tonight for the work done in the past year by members and officers of this council, and especially the chairmanship of Councillor Deanne Eden. We pray for her successor, Councillor Alan Chartler, and those councillors elected this month. We pray that progress may be made for the provision of school places for Daventry. We pray for all pupils taking important exams at this time and the governance of our schools. We pray for Stephen Mould, the new Police and Crime Commissioner, for effective policing in our area and for the officers who work in our district. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Item 3 on the agenda is the council election is 5th of May 2016. To receive a certificate in return of the returning officer as to persons elected as Daventry District Councillor for the several district wards.
Thank you, Chairman. Page 7 and 8 list the new members and returning members that were elected on the 5th of May 2016. This item is simply for you to receive the confirmation.
What I would like to do next is say congratulations to all the people that were re-elected in the elections and give a warm welcome to new councillors. Just in case anybody that's here doesn't know the new councillors, could I ask you, when I say your name, just stand up for a few seconds, say the new councillors to make sure they know who you are. All right. Addie North is Ken Ritchie. Thank you very much. Broadston Welton is Jason Pritchard. Thank you. Brixworth is Fabian Fraser Howard. Welcome. Ravensthorpe is Richard Nicolai. And Wingdon is Adam Brown. Thank you very much. Welcome to all of you.
Yeah.
Item 4 is election of chairman. We have a proposal that Councillor Alan Chartler be elected as chairman of the council for the year 2016-2017. Do we have a proposal? Councillor.
Thank you, Chairman. It's my pleasure to propose Councillor Alan Chandler as Chairman of our Council. From Yalvatop, a very efficient and effective member of the Planning Committee, and we've worked together on planning for quite a while. I must say, and I don't mean it offensive, that we have a nickname for him on planning, and I'm sure planning members know him as God. That's not to be confused with the God that the other God, the true, the one and only God. He's not out of this world, and we don't call him God for that reason. We call him God because he stands 9 foot tall. He looks like God ought to look like, and he has a very, very deep voice that sounds like God as well. And unlike a lot of us, he doesn't. He does engage his brain before he opens his mouth as well. I've got great respect for Alan. He'll make a wonderful ambassador and a very, very good chairman. And by the way, he knows the standing orders like the back of his hand, so don't try and cross him. So it's with great pleasure that I propose Alan Chandler as next chairman.
Could I have a second for that, please?
Chairman, it gives me great pleasure to second that proposition. Alan lived very close to me for a great number of years. I had no trouble at all with him.
Can I ask if there are any other nominations? No? Right. In that case, I will put the proposition forward that Councillor Alan Chandler be elected as Chairman of the Council for the year 2016-17. All those in agreement, please.
Agreed.
Yeah.
They didn't tell me about the bloodletting. Okay, thank you. I, Alan Chandler, having been elected to the office of Chairman of Daventry District Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Probably doesn't work. Thank you. A vote of thanks to the former Chairman. Councillor Miller, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I be the first to congratulate you on your position as Chairman of this Council and wish you all the very best for the year ahead. It's my privilege actually to thank the former Chairman, Councillor Deanna Redden, who, as one would expect, has actually really fulfilled the role very well. You represented the whole district in your year as Chairman, and you did it with great distinction. So I want to say on behalf of the Council, very well done to you, Deanna. And you give a hard act round channel to follow, so I want to wish you all the very best there. Whenever I do this each year, it's fascinating actually that I always try to find out what went wrong in the year, because it can't always be perfect, but actually your year was nearly perfect. I say nearly perfect. There was one, you know what's coming to you? There's one incident which actually, well, the funny thing was, when Doug Cole, who's your chauffeur and has been the chauffeur for our chairman over many years, When Doug Cole's only off for 3 weeks at the end of your year, I think that's interesting. Why is that? You've never done that before, 3 years off on holiday at the end of the chairman's year. But actually what happened was on the 3rd of September, do you remember this, Diana? 3rd of September, you went to, coming back from raising the flag, the red ensign at the county council. You remember it, yeah, that's excellent. So what happened apparently was, on that day allegedly, the road from Reading to Daventry was closed. So our chauffeur Doug, who's not here this evening, decided to take on the scenic detour. Instead of, so you saw the delights of Dalford and the lovely countryside, and you travelled across ploughed fields. I hope not in the car, by the way, that's what I'm told, by a track actually. It was by a track across ploughed fields, and eventually coming out on an A45 near to Daventry. Now normally the A45 would be cleared for Her Majesty, not normally for our chairman, but the A45 was absolutely clear. And why was it empty? Well, the reason was because it had been combed off by NCC Highways officer and who had to get out of his van to move the cone so you could pass. And apparently he wasn't very happy about it. It didn't go down well at all. But apart from that though, yeah, I think you had an excellent year. I think it went very smoothly. And on behalf of this council, it's my pleasure to actually give a vote of thanks to you on behalf of the council for the year you had in the chair, and you did it exceptionally well, so very well done to you.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Councillor Diana Osborne.
Thank you, Chairman.
Congratulations.
And you've got a lovely more time. I'm sure they've noticed. To Councillor Deanna Redden, our chairman that's just left, she's been an amazing chairman, very quiet, but I think everybody else, all the other councillors have made up for her. She's been mayor before, town mayor, so the second time she's a bit greedy, but she's had to do it again as chairman of Daventry. But I know that her and Chris have had a fantastic time. I know she's enjoyed every minute. She's done some great things, heard a lot of lovely things about her. She projects herself forward, and you know, just people. She's just a really lovable and likeable person. Well done, and I'm glad you had a great time and you were a great chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana Osborne, Councillor. So the proposition before council is that the vote of thanks be moved to the former chairman. Does everybody agree with that? Agree. Thank you. Councillor Head. Oh, I beg your pardon, I'm interrupting the flow.
Last May 2016 seemed a long way away. Now suddenly it's here. But when I look back at the many places that I've been and the people of all ages that I've met, I realise, with the support of my husband Chris, just how much we have accomplished in the last 12 months. Just to give you some idea of the range of invites that we have received and attended, and I'm not going through all of them. The first Daventry Festival of Education, Daventry Dolphin Swimming Championships, and later their awards presentation evening, followed later still by the Northamptonshire Swimming Championships at Corby. Phoenix Youth Centre 2015 Gymnastics Club Championships. Braunston Historic Narrowboat Rally. Opening of the new mine building. Visiting the Royal Mail Depot very early in the morning while they were sorting the Christmas mail. A beating retreat at Pittsford Hall by the band of the Parachute Regiment. The official opening of Prick Jubilee Wood. Attending the turf cutting ceremony for the new Northampton College Daventry campus. Presenting long service awards to members of the DDC staff. Going a bit further afield, we have attended Christmas festivals of lessons and carols at Peterborough Cathedral. Finals in Northamptonshire Sports Awards at Simon, which included some of the winners of the Daventry District Sports Awards evening. Northampton College Awards ceremony. Music for Youth Proms 2015 at the Royal Albert Hall, with singers and musicians from local schools taking part. Joining the Crazy Hat 14th annual charity walk at Kettering. A 10-year celebration of Northampton University. Malton College Awards ceremony. Presentation by a Russian envoy of the Yushka Medal to veterans of the Arctic convoys held at the Guildhall. Families also received medals from veterans who are no longer with us. We've also attended civic services and events at Raunds, Rushden, Desborough, Bathlingborough, Wellingborough, Towcester, Peterborough, Northampton, and 2 at Daventry. Most of these occasions have given me, in different ways, the opportunity to talk about Daventry District, on what we have achieved so far, what is happening at present, and our future plans. I would like to thank everyone who in any way has contributed to my chairman's charity through attending events, personal donations, and I must mention DDC staff who kindly donated the proceeds of their cake sales. At the moment we have a total of £3,088.48, with 2 promised donations to come, one being from the Rotary concert being held next Saturday at the Icon Centre. I know that Helping Hands will use this money to the best of their ability to benefit the youngsters that they help. My thanks also go out to Chris for the support he's given me this year, to the point of virtually giving up his golf. To Fiona, who was Chairman's PA, has been priceless. To Doug for taking care of Chris and I, and to all DDC staff who have supported me in different ways through the year. But my greatest thanks go to you, the councillors, for appointing me to the position of chairman for the last 12 months. As a resident of Daventry all my life, I am very honoured to have been able to represent not just the town of my birth, but the district of Daventry Council. I know that I will look back with pride and fond memories on the year that I held the position of Chairman of Daventry District Council. To Councillor Chandler, I wish you all the very best in your new position as Chairman. I hope your coming year is as varied and interesting as mine has been. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you disappear, I have to give you that. This being a memento of your chairmanship. Thank you very much. We move on to item 5, appointment of vice chairman. I believe there is to be a proposal from Councillor Frenchman.
Yes, thank you very much. It would give me a great pleasure to propose Councillor David James as vice chairman. Despite being a politician, I don't think I can find quite the same level of words as Councillor Osborne rose to in my description of Councillor James and what he does for this council. I think you'll all agree he's a very diligent and hard-working member, and though he's one of the quieter members, I think when he has something to say it's always worth listening to. And my only hope during his year as vice chair is that possibly the chairman could give him some lessons on voice projection. So it's with great pleasure that I would like to propose David James for the position of Vice Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second for that? Councillor Morgan.
May I say how fine you look in your tie this evening? Thank you. I'd like to second Councillor James. And I really echo the comments from Councillor Frenchman. He's a very quiet, not overtly political, I don't think, but well-considered, absolute gentleman. And my wish really is not only will you give him voice projection lessons, but also can you save him a few events as well, so he can also play his ambassadorial role. I think you, as a team, will be excellent ambassadors for the District Council. Hence, that's why I wish to second him. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Are there any other nominations for Vice Chairman? In that case, it would appear that Councillor David James is elected unopposed. Can I have the agreement of council to that? Thank you very much indeed. Would you like to come and take up your position? I don't have any flowers for you, I'm afraid. But I do have this gong, which you better put it on. And as you've gathered from the remarks that have already been made, I'm not used to having things around my neck. Right, you now have to swear your life away.
I, David Thomas James, having been elected to the office of Vice Chairman of Daventry District Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you. Well done, David. I will say some events for you as will become clear. For example, if they invite me to go rock climbing, I think I'll probably ask. Well, we all have a hobby, I guess. Before I move to apologies for absence, can I just say what has to be said at the beginning of every meeting? These proceedings have been recorded. We are not expecting a fire alarm, so if there is one, it's real. Please go out by the way you came in, unless that's on fire, in which case there's a fire exit there, which leads to a rather disturbing spiral staircase, which again I don't think I'll be challenging. The other thing I would ask is, please, if you have a mobile device, telephone or something, can you make sure that it is engaged in a silent way? If your mobile phone goes off and we hear it, you have to put £10 in the chairman's charity. Just thought I'd let you know. Right, could we have apologies for absence, please?
Non-advised, Chair.
Non-advised, thank you. The next item then is to sign the minutes of the previous meeting. We had two sets of minutes. Firstly, the minutes of the meeting of council on the 25th of February 2016. Is it your wish that these be signed as an accurate record? Agreed. Thank you. The minutes of the extraordinary council meeting on the 29th of February 2016.
Chairman, it needs to be noted that Councillor Deanna Redden was omitted from the recorded voting list on that set of minutes.
Thank you. So have they been amended accordingly?
Previous set of minutes, they've all been.
Right, okay. Otherwise, is it your wish that these be signed as an accurate record? Agreed. Thank you. Thank you very much. Declaration of members' interests. Are there any declarations of members' disclosable interests and the nature of such interests in any of the items which occur below? Councillor Bunting.
Mr. Chairman, good evening. First of all, I have to declare an interest that I'm not as sartorially dressed as you are tonight, sir. So I wish to compliment you on that.
You are forgiven.
Thank you so much. The principal declaration I have is that my daughter is the agent representing a major retail organisation that is seeking an acquisition in Daventry under item 22.
Thank you for that. Any others? No? We move on. to the inaugural speech of the new chairman.
Agreed.
I have very little to say, you'll be glad to know. It is indeed an honour and a privilege to be elected chairman of the District Council, and I'm very much looking forward to representing us all at those opportunities which are made available to me by invitation. I'm particularly keen, members please note, to visit some of the remoter communities within our district. So if you represent such, please do take back the message that I'd be happy to be invited to any events that they may be having. I've already, as you'll hear in a moment, been invited to open somebody's fete. It is, as I say, an honour and a privilege, and I expect to be travelling around and taking with me the message of Daventry District, what it is we're about, what we're aiming to do, how we're aiming to achieve that, what our vision is, what our values are. We all know those off by heart. I have them in front of me. A vision to build a better district for our, by improving our business economy, protecting and enhancing the environment, building healthy, safe and strong communities and individuals, and having an effective and efficient council. That's what we're about. Daventry, as we are often saying, is open for business. We are always keen to attract inward investment of many kinds, and also to see the businesses within the district thrive and grow. So that's the message I'll be taking around with me on your behalf. I'm also pleased to be able to announce to you the charity that I've nominated to receive my support during this year, and the charity is the Farming Community Network, which works within the farming community throughout England and Wales to provide pastoral and practical support to farming families through times of hardship and distress relating to both the farm household and the farm business. The issues which farmers face are wide-ranging and are often further complicated by the close relationship between family life and farm business. It's not just a business, it's a way of life. In many cases, this involves several generations of the same family. And the most frequently occurring areas of concern are financial difficulties, issues with bureaucracy, such as the single farm payment, farm inspections, livestock passports, etc., animal health and welfare issues, particularly those dealing with bovine tuberculosis breakdown. They have personal, physical and mental health problems, including dealing with depression and thoughts of suicide. Distressingly, the rate of suicide amongst farmers and their families is quite high. I actually lost a member of my own family through that. There are relationship breakdowns, both personal and business related, and dealing with bereavement. The Farming Community Network, or FCN as we often refer to it, runs a national telephone helpline which is available every day of the year from 7 in the morning till 11 at night. It is manned by volunteers who will receive calls from anyone who calls them, will listen carefully and, well, confidentially, I suppose I should say, to the problems that are related, and will provide a possibility of an introduction to a visiting volunteer who has been trained to help them to deal with whatever their problems are. The concept that we describe is that the volunteer will walk with the client, helping them through whatever situation they're facing for as long as they are needed. We stay with them throughout. The volunteer is there to be a friend and to bring in appropriate complementary sources of help as each occasion demands. A key part of the work involves the encouragement of communication and mediation between all those involved in a situation in order to facilitate the best possible outcome. We get about 100 calls a month to the helpline, except when there are particular issues There have been issues recently due to the failure of the Rural Payments Agency to keep up with the demands of the single farm payment. We've had problems with the weather, as you're all aware. We've had problems with crop failure due to the weather. We have problems with disease, animal disease. We have foot and mouth disease. We've had BSE. We've had bovine TB. All of these things cause stress to these people. You have to remember, I will shut up in a minute. You have to remember that farming these days is very much a solitary business. Farmers and farm workers just spend an awful lot of time on their own, sometimes within the cab of a noisy machine, and there's nobody to talk to. We are there, I say we because I am a volunteer, for FCN is there to respond to those calls for help and to deal with them as they occur. My main aim in choosing the charity is to help to raise its profile, and I look to members to help me with this by making sure that they understand what FCN is for and to bring it to the attention of anybody who they think might benefit from it. The other things that you can do, you can all do, not just members, to help the farming community is you can buy British food. You can 70% of people in a recent survey said they would prefer to buy food from the locality or the region, so please do it. You can support by donating to the charity, which receives very little funding other than from voluntary donations. So these are the people I will be taking with me wherever I go, and I hope that there will be various events helping me. We have with us tonight Charles Smith, who is the Chief Executive of FCN, because its head office is in West Haddon. It's fairly local from that point of view, but it covers the whole of England and Wales. Works very well with other charities such as the RABI. And he will be available at the end of the meeting for you to talk with, and he'd be quite happy to explain and expand on what I've just said. So my role as chairman is to represent the district and to attempt to raise the profile of FCN. Thank you for that. Thank you for listening. I'll move rapidly on to chairman's announcements, which isn't what I've just been doing. Chairman's announcements gives me an opportunity for two things. Firstly, I want to add my own personal welcome to the new members, newly elected to this chamber, and welcome back to those who were re-elected. And I'm going to take the opportunity to offer a couple of points of advice to everybody, but particularly to new members. First matter is very simple. Please read the Constitution. The second one is to turn up to meetings. You will learn an awful lot about how the council works if you attend meetings of committees. Take up advantage of all the opportunities for member development. There are many, a varied programme of opportunities to learn how to be a more effective councillor. And so please take those opportunities. If you are new to the chamber, have a word with your group leader about the possibility of being assigned a mentor, a more experienced member of the council who will be there to help. But any member of the council will help you if you feel that you need help. And I'll also leave you with a thought, which is, in my view, one of the greatest challenges we all face is the management of expectation. So beware, especially if you've just been elected, having promised all kinds of things, which we all do when we're being elected. Now's the time to deliver. The second thing I wanted to say under Chairman's announcements is to just give you some idea as to some of the engagements to which I've already been invited. Starting on Saturday, the Association of Northamptonshire Supplementary Schools are holding a concert entitled Cultural Kaleidoscope, and I shall be going to that. the Daventry Bowls Club is reopening on the 4th of June. I'll be going to that. Mayor of Kettering has a civic service. The High Sheriff of Northamptonshire has a reception. I'm invited to the Court of the University of Northampton. I'm invited to open the church fete at Lilbourne on the 11th of June. On the 12th of June, I've had 4 invitations, but I can't keep all of them. The first one to arrive was that would I please go to the Yalvertoft Street Party. This is the Queen's Weekend, as you probably remember, and I shall be going to that. And I've also received an invitation to the Braunston Historic Narrowbone Rally, which I'm looking forward to all of those things for the opportunity it gives to fly the flag for Daventry. I also wanted to take the opportunity to bring you the latest update on an ongoing saga with which I've been involved. Members will remember that at the February Council meeting I told you that I had written on behalf of the West Northamptonshire Joint Strategic Planning Committee to the Secretary of State, Communities and Local Government, asking him to revoke the statutory instrument. That was the 16th of February. Yesterday I received a reply which says, thank you for your letter of the 16th of February. I'm sorry for not replying sooner. I will write again when this has been considered fully. Well, there we are. We move on. Item 11, announcement of group leaders and deputy group leaders. In no particular order. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the Conservative Group, the group leaders, myself, and the deputy leaders, Councillor Fitzgerald.
Thank you very much. Councillor Randall.
Yeah, on behalf of the Labour group, myself will be the leader, and Councillor Ken Ritchie will be my deputy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I will be group leader for UKIP for the forthcoming year, and Sean will be my deputy.
Thank you. We have a group of 1. Councillor Lambert.
Thank you, Chairman. I am a non-group,
Oh, I think
which has its advantages, but it also has its disadvantages. I'm back here, so I hope everybody's going to speak up. That's one of the best sides.
Thank you.
I just wanted to remind you that I'm here.
I hadn't forgotten. In fact, I tied a knot in my tie. Thank you. We move on to constitution of committees. I believe that the constitution of committees is much governed by allocation of seats according to political balance. And we've received a schedule, have we? Have we all got this? Of the membership of committees. I ask you really to note that. There is a note in my agenda that says if Council wishes to adopt committee memberships which do not accord with political balance arrangements, there must be a vote. This doesn't. Okay, so in other words, we need to have a vote that we accept this, the constitution of committees as indicated, and we have to see whether all members of council agree with that. Councillor Shepherd.
Chairman, just a minor point. Councillor Mr. Lomax has introduced herself without needing to do so, because we know her very well. She's a councillor who's had significant experience on this council and contributes well. I'm disappointed to see that she's only appearing, I think, on this list once, as far as I can see. I'd like to think that's her choice rather than anybody else's. She nods. Oh, well, that's all right then.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just confirm, Chairman? Councillor Lomax contacted me, and we've actually managed to accommodate Councillor Lomax's wishes.
Thank you.
So it's all done. Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you both. Can I then Oh, beg your pardon. Councillor Randall.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, it was only a question really about the Daventry Town Development Implementation Working Group. Unless I read it wrong, I don't believe that I've got a place on that group, and I just wondered if there was a reason why.
I'm advised that this particular group is not subject to the political balance. Was your interest known to those who are forming the group? Councillor Poole.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Comes under my portfolio. The important thing to do, or to notice, is that it is an advisory group. It has no powers whatsoever. It is simply there. It is divided, not particularly in any mix. This group has a mix of people one from every town ward, some from the rural areas, and I'm pleased to say Councillor Lomax has been exceptional with work regarding education. It is a fact of life, Chairman, and unfortunately we can't please them all. But there will be a case, and the Town Council will have a representative and they will appoint that person, I understand, at their next meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Ritchie.
Mr. Chairman, it strikes me as extraordinary that where you have this working group of, 8 or 9 councillors, you have not found, or whoever formulated this list has not found space for any representative from the Labour Party, and not including Councillor Wendy Randall. Given her experience and her activities in the town, I really think that this group is going to be a laughing stock if that list remains unaltered.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to point out, first of all, that Councillor Paul is the one responsible for putting the list together. As mentioned earlier, when John Shepherd raised the point about Councillor Lomax, Councillor Lomax wrote to me as an independent member, that's actually not part of the group, Catherine, to explain what she wanted on the council for the year ahead. I have had no correspondence from Councillor Randall about what the Labour group's wishes were. Well, the point I'm saying, Councillor Randall, is it's important for you to let me know what you want from the group, not only on this and outside bodies, but also on any group. I'm sure Councillor Paul listened to your comment, Councillor Ritchie, and maybe reconsider that position. It's not my decision, but obviously Councillor Paul's the Chairman. I'm sure he's listened to your comments, Councillor Ritchie, and we'll see what comes out of that.
Thank you, thank you. Councillor Paul.
Yes, if I may come back, Chairman. There are a number of people within this chamber that are disgruntled that they are not on the committee, or it's a working group and it's not a committee. As I repeat again, it doesn't have powers. A task panel working group is a very small group of people, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but can we move the matter on, and I'll answer them out of chamber, Chairman. I'm happy to answer them in chamber, but I don't see the need.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Your point has been noted, Councillor. I'll ask members then to look back at what I think of as the front sheet, which is the list of committees, of council committees, and I need to put it to you, do you agree with this suggestion of the constitutional committees in the knowledge that it does not meet the requirement of political balance? Any against? Thank you. In that case, that's a carried nem tom, neminar tom as they keep saying. And the appointment of chairman and vice chairman of committees is also noted on that sheet. We move on to consider the appointments, other appointments, beginning with the representation on outside bodies. Again, I think we've been furnished with a list of proposals for this. Has everybody had a chance to see that? Any comments on that? Councillor Randall.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, my only comment will be the same comment that I made last year, was actually from other outside of this council. When I sit on outside bodies, I always submit some sort of report. I did bring it up last year, and I did say that it would actually be good to have some sort of report to know what's happening on these outside bodies, or if there's anything to be brought forward. So I just wondered once again if that could be considered, please, Chairman.
Indeed, thank you for that. And you'll note that it is mentioned on the agenda paper. It's recommended that the representatives on each body submit a written report in respect to the activities of the body to which they're appointed at the end of the municipal year. And we look forward to that. Yes, thank you. So, can I have a proposal that we accept this list of suggestions? Councillor Miller, thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Dr. Morgan, thank you. Councillor Osborne.
Excuse me, Chairman, can I ask something that's totally related to the agenda? And I know this is not normal. It's freezing in here. Is there any chance that the temperature can be changed? It's really cold.
I'm cold.
Yeah.
I thought it was just me.
People have said no. It's really, for me to be cold.
It is.
Cold.
Well, no, that's
We're on cutback.
a useful intervention. I don't know what has to happen to make anything happen. We normally generate enough hot air ourselves. Can we then please take a vote on the representation on outside bodies that's been proposed and seconded? Agree with that? Any against? No, thank you. We move on. We're now looking at item 14, questions under Council Procedure Rules numbers 10 and 11. To answer questions from the members of the public, if any, we have notification of two such questions. The first of which is from Alan Powell, addressed to Councillor Chris Miller. Is Alan Powell in the room? No. In that case, I will have to read the question. Could you please explain the decision to build the canal arm at the cost of many millions of pounds, when the size of the proposed marina would only hold about 24 berths? Those berths would be taken up by local boat owners, therefore no visitors would come to Daventry. I understand the running costs would be around £65,000 a year. The expenditure of such a large sum just for 24 boat owners far outweighs any benefits Daventry would receive from building this arm. Daventry ratepayers would end up funding a small private marina. I guess that means council taxpayers. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Powell for his question and his interest in this matter. It is helpful, actually, Chairman, to have an opportunity to correct some of the misunderstandings on this important project. The current proposals for around 40 short-stay moorings near to the town centre, to the west and northern way, and about 25 long-stay moorings further away, to the east and northern way. Just as with canal moorings in other places and with car parks, the length of stay will be regulated to achieve the intended purposes of each area. So there will be plenty of space for visitor boats to come and go. This is important because it's seeing activity on the water which helps to make it attractive and interesting for other visitors to the area. The vast majority of those who will benefit are people who come by land to enjoy themselves near the water. The canal boats are the attraction people come to see. As for the cost, yes, the council has made an investment and will continue to do so. but the bulk of the costs will come from other sources. Running costs are designed to be met from commercial income around or associated with the canal arm. The point is that the canal arm will bring in tourism and profile to the district, helping to encourage inward investment in jobs, which is so important, Chairman, and also increasing our local economy, which again is long-term jobs, long-term economic activity to the area, as well as providing a place for our residents to come and enjoy being in. It is a key part of our plan for the future to improve Daventry Town Centre. We want to make Daventry, Chairman, a destination for people to come and visit in this extremely competitive world where people have choice of where they come and visit, and the benefits will be felt longer term by the local residents and businesses in this area, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Miller. I presume we can arrange for Mr. Powell to receive copies by the minutes. Thank you. There is no discussion on questions and answers. Second question is from Linda Arnold. Is Linda Arnold here? No. In fact, I'll read that question then. I would like to ask, what happened to the funding given by Tesco as part of the deal to build a store in Daventry Town Centre? Part of this funding was to be used to build a Millennium Park in the green space at the bottom of Ashby Road, the space now allocated for the canal arm. What happened to our Millennium Park 16 years after the event? Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Chairman. I thank Mrs. Arnold for this question. Interesting, actually, because this brought me back a bit, took me back a bit in terms of years in Millennium Park and that particular site. However, there was no money from the Tesco deal specifically for the Millennium Park. Understandably, Tesco was not interested in how the money paid the council to purchase its site was used. Unless they do have specific restrictions, Chairman, attached to them, all income received by the council is held by it, so to be used to pursue its overall objectives. Although we do not have to respect the legal distinction between capital money, such as selling the land, and revenue money, it's only revenue money can be used for day-to-day services, running day-to-day services. So that's my answer, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, Linda Arnold can receive that answer via the minute. We move on to item 15, a motion under Council Procedure Rule 12. Yes, you're right, I do. But I'm learning, but I'm trying to do it quickly. The second part of item 14, to answer questions from members of the council, if any.
Unreceived, Chair.
I knew that. Motion under Council Procedure Rule 12. This is a motion to be proposed by Councillor Colin Poole.
Thank you, Chairman. Very simple. May I request that this council sends a letter to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, of the United Kingdom, Great Britain, Northern Ireland, and of our other realms and territories. Queen, Head of the Commonwealth, Defender of the Faith, to congratulate Her Majesty on the longevity of her reign, and that in the face of this ever-changing world she has managed not only to keep our Commonwealth of Nations together, but has increased its membership. Chairman, this, I would add, without any rules and regulations regarding the governance of those nations and any threat to their own sovereignty. God save the Queen. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Poole. Do you have a seconder for this?
Second, Chair.
Councillor Evans. Do we take a debate? We have a debate. Any contributions? Councillor Ritchie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm finding it difficult to try to think of any reputable political analyst that believes that the survival and indeed the expansion of the Commonwealth has got anything to do with the Queen. Nevertheless, I too am happy that the Queen has reached the age of 90 and appears to be in good health and appears to be enjoying life. However, I think that we ought to use this occasion to remember the countless people who are here in Daventry District who have reached the age of 90 or have passed the age of 90. People who perhaps have done so having faced much more difficult and demanding lives, people who have had these lives very far from the wealth and privileges of the royal family. I think this is an occasion in which we should recognise that these people, they are citizens, every bit as much citizens as Her Majesty the Queen. We should not discriminate, and we should not discriminate on the basis of status if we are going to start sending messages of goodwill, which clearly we do wish goodwill to people who pass the age of 90 or greater ages. On these matters, I tend to follow my Conservative friends. My Conservative friends who belong to the organisation Conservatives for a Republic. Conservative Party members who believe that in the 21st century we should have reached a point where we consign the idea of hereditary roles to history, and which we believe that we have got the confidence as a nation to actually decide who we want, who the people decide to elect as their head of state.
Can we now just come back very quickly?
Well, yes, thank you for your contribution.
In response to that, one has only got to visit any occasion where the Queen is present to see what the country thinks of her. I'm happy that the councillor feels that we don't care about our other 90-year-olds, quite the contrary. We do care about all members and all beings on this planet. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Daventry.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I didn't want to speak, but you gave a word of advice in your introduction that we should have an effective council. And frankly, I'm not here to have debates that we cannot solve in the chamber. So I would like to keep it simple and quick. So for the new members, please I would like them to remember that we should keep to business and not have political rights. Thank you.
Thank you for that. It's true that there's little point in us spending time discussing matters over which we have no control.
Exactly. Thank you, Chairman.
Any other contributions? Yes, of course you may.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to remind everyone, as we're on this particular motion, that we may well be citizens of the European Union for the time being, at least, that we are still subjects of the Queen.
Thank you. Can I put it to council then, the motion to council? Agreed? Agreed. Any dissenters? Thank you. We move on. Reports to committees. Come now. Temper your enthusiasm with a modicum of decorum. The report to committees we receive for information purposes only the minutes of the undermentioned committees, and we note that the strategy group due to be held on the 5th of March was in fact cancelled due to lack of business. We can now move to recommendations of committees. If you turn to page 77 in your papers, you will find that there are record there of recommendations arising from various committees, and we have to deal with those now. We start with the recommendation from Strategy Group 2016-01 Partnership Toolkit. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, this was discussed at the strategy group on the 14th of April. We're rescinding a partnership protocol we had in place and replacing the new toolkit, which was actually on the attachments to those papers, and members of the strategy group were happy to support that, Chairman. So I'm happy to take questions if required. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have a seconder for that? Councillor Warren, thank you. Any questions for the proposer? No. Can I ask then, is council agreed that that recommendation is agreed? We move on to SG 21-1601, Northamptonshire Waste Partnership, update of Memorandum of Understanding. Councillor Guildford.
Thank you, Chair. I'm seeking approval from the members to adopt the Northamptonshire Waste Partnership Memorandum of Understanding, which was appended to the April Strategy Report. For the new members here, the NWP, or the Northamptonshire Waste Partnership, as we refer to them, is an alliance of district and borough councils in the county, with the exception of East Northamptonshire Council. The NWP was created in 2004, and the memorandum MOU last updated in 2011. Since then, there have been a number of changes. The main changes were listed in the April Strategy Report. The ones to note are that the NWP Board Chair will now have the casting vote. For those of you who are not aware, our leader Chris Miller has been the chair for some time now. In addition, there's a code of conduct for members to be adopted, and the minimum number of meetings and the quorum figure have been changed. To note, though, is the fact that none of these changes affects the substance of what the NWP does. So I would therefore ask members to adopt the MOU. Thank you.
Do you have a second for that? Councillor Poole? Any questions to that? Can I have your agreement or otherwise agreement? Agreed. Thank you. I note that on the 25th of May there is to be a members' development session which will include an update on that particular matter.
Chairman, if I may just add to that, well, nothing to change in terms of the advice, but on the East Northamptonshire Council, I understand there is a paper going to one of their key committees, inviting them to rejoin the partnership, so fingers crossed on that basis. What it would mean is some updating of the memorandum that we've just agreed, but it doesn't change the substance. It's just adding the membership and updating accordingly, making adjustments accordingly. But it looks like we may get a copy of them together, which is obviously well.
Thank you very much for that information. We move on to SG 22-1601, Middlemore Infrastructure Completion Works in Daventry. Councillor Shepherd.
Chairman, thank you. Before introducing this, may I briefly pay tribute to Councillor Chris Long, my predecessor as Resources Portfolio Holder. The democratic process has given us Councillor Ken Ritchie. I congratulate him on his election. He's already made his presence felt tonight. I'm sure he will continue to do that. Councillor Long served for 10 years. 4 years, of course, he spent also with the County Council. He was scrutiny chairman for 4 years in Daventry, licensing for 1 year, standing in for Councillor Ann Carter, and, of course, for the last immediate past period, Resources Portfolio Holder. He had a baptism of fire at the County Council during the Finance and Scrutiny Chairmanship, which obviously put him in a very good position for being our resources man. He reports to me that the portfolio is in excellent order, which is great. Audra reports to me that Chris Long, in discharging his functions, as far as officers were concerned, showed great enthusiasm and generated interest in finance. Well, that's a challenge that I anticipate trying to follow, but enthusiastic and generate interest in local government finance, that's a possible challenge. But anyway, that's for me, and I'm very grateful to the Council for giving me the opportunity. Moving on to this agenda item, we of course produced service development plots at Middlemore, and a large amount have been completed. We have yet to complete the highway infrastructure to bring it up to adoption standards. And the recommendation is that obviously is now done, and that we procure the County Council to undertake this work, which kills two birds with one stone, because they will thereafter immediately adopt it once they complete the work to their adoption standards. The technical recommendation, the very technical one, is simply to merge two capital budgets to enable this to be done. So that's the essence of the recommendation here, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Do you have a seconder for that? Councillor Miller. Any questions on that for anybody? No? Can I have council's opinion on that?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. We move on. SG 23-1601, Scrutiny and Improvement Task Panel Report on the Rural Economy. Councillor Poole, is that it?
Thank you, Chairman. Before I carry on, I'd like to pay tribute to the task panel. They've done excellent work. Councillor Frenchman, ably assisted and no doubt nagged by. I've forgotten the councillor's name, so I have to apologise. But a lot of good work has been done. Item 3, Chairman, on this report is talking about facilities, the use of village facilities, potential rural business hubs. It has been pointed out to me that there are some villages with no such facilities. I'd be happy to work with the local member and perhaps we can cluster 1 or 2 villages together in the way that our local churches do. But I'm happy to work with the member on that. And I put it to council.
Thank you very much, Councillor Poole. Seconded, Councillor Frenchman.
Yes, thank you.
Anything to say?
No, it's been ably said by Councillor Poole.
Thank you. Any contribution from members?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wonder if I could suggest that this rural, the forum that is envisaged to look at tourism issues might do some empirical work on this. Mr. Chairman, something over 30 days ago, I submitted a Freedom of Information request to the Council seeking information on tourism. I got it on the 30th day, 30 days being the time that councils are allowed to take in responding to such requests. And it appeared to me that the information simply wasn't there. My questions were not answered. There are going to be issues that in which we want to discuss tourism, not just in Daventry District, but in Daventry Town. If we come round to talking about potential benefits of a canal arm or other ways in which the centre of Daventry might be developed, there is talk about tourism. Right back in documents going over the past 10 years, there are references to the benefits of tourism. But I would be interested to know what actually the starting point is, what we know about how many people come to Daventry as tourists, and how we actually define them as being tourists, what a tourist is worth to Daventry, so that if we are going to have things that we disagree on, we at least have data about which we can have a sensible, reasoned discussion, rather than simply saying, it would be great if more tourists came to Daventry.
Thank you for that. Yes, Councillor Miller.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Well, first of all, I'm glad you got your response in time, Councillor Ritchie, but clearly I wasn't aware of the questions you asked. I don't know what the details. You send them on to me, I'll be very happy to look at that as well. Second point I'd say to you, I would urge on this actually, because I know you're one of the opponents of the canal arm and maybe the boat lift as well. It's just very, very important to understand that I know from anecdotal evidence all over the place, lots of people don't come to Daventry because they don't see a purpose in coming to Daventry other than maybe to your supermarket shopping. What we're trying to create over many years, and it's very, very difficult in a tough economic climate, the retail climate is very, very tough at the moment, but we are making progress on Site 5 and you'll see more information about that in due course. There's other things going on behind the scenes. As you become a council more and more, you understand there's a lot of stuff that goes on, doesn't come out immediately into the public arena, because you have to work on these things, and there's a lot of financial sums to add up for everybody, including developers who are going to build in Daventry. But the truth is, it's a fact of life that if you have an attractive destination to come to, you're going to get more people. Now, how many more people you're going to get will depend. There's evidence elsewhere. If you look at boat lifts, there's evidence up in Falkirk, and you understand how many visitors that attracted to that particular area, longer term. And what I'm trying to say is, without any ambition at all, Councillor Richard, you achieve absolutely nothing. In fact, I would say you go backwards. And I think the one thing I always say about opposition is it's great to say no to things, but come up with an alternative that's going to work. And it's not just an idea that's going to work, it's not all these things are costed out. And we costed out the canal arm, we know it's going to attract long-term energy into this area, and business and money into this area. The actual sums, we can come up with sums, Councillor Ritchie, whether they're accurate or not, it's like supposition. But the reality is you're going to get far better benefits by doing that than moaning about something and actually not putting anything in its place. And that's why I would urge you to think about when you come up with opposition to ideas, that you come up with ideas that are going to make a difference to the town longer term, not just saying we don't want that. Because saying don't want that's easy. Lots of people can sign a petition, we don't want that. But do they actually understand what they're signing? Because I think what people do want, they want more jobs, they want a better economy, they want more prosperity, and we believe this plan will deliver that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that contribution. I'm not going to allow a discussion on the particular development in Daventry Town. This SARS panel was about the rural economy. Councillor Morgan.
Thank you, Chairman. As the Chairman of the Scrutiny Committee, actually I'd like to invite Councillor Ken Ritchie and other new members to join scrutiny assignment teams. We meet next on the 7th of June. Please come along, and we'd love to have extra insight that you'll bring. You're very welcome, and this always helps shape committees. And I know Councillor Frenchman would have also appreciated some extra insight about how you define a tourist, etc. So thank you, Councillor Ritchie. Please join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I just, going back to the original task panel report, which I slightly helped Councillor Frenchman to complete, the actual reports that focus on the rural economy, i.e. rural businesses, and where they were. They could be one-man businesses in small villages to larger enterprises, for instance, in Brixworth or Malton. And the idea was that we were trying to find out exactly what the Daventry district has in terms of its economy, businesses, opportunities for employment. It did not just focus on tourism. One of the main things that we did find was that, of course, the lack of adequate broadband in many of the rural areas is a problem. Lack of public transport. But that was the focus of our report, not specifically to do with tourism. And I'm hoping Councillor Frenchman will agree with me on that. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Councillor Frenchman?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I would like to endorse what Councillor Carter said, and we did come up with some recommendations with regard to both broadband and rural transport, but I was reliably informed and tended to agree that they were covered by other panels and other strategies that were currently being looked at, so it would only have duplicated them to have included them at this time in this particular report now.
Thank you. Councillor Morgan?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chairman. Can I also point out, when these are recommended here, what we do on scrutiny now is we also monitor them afterwards. And at each one of our meetings, we have feedback on the progress on these recommendations. What we've also implemented in the past 12 months is 1 year post-implementation, we also do another review. So you'll get to hear about this again, and particularly as Councillor Carr said, some of those other factors which are not about tourism but about the economy generally in rural areas, you'll be seeing more of through the committee as it scrutinises its group cycle. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That is a useful contribution because it allows me to remind all members, particularly new members, that by attending such meetings you get to find out what's going on. As with all of our meetings, they're open to anybody to attend. Can I move then that we adopt this recommendation?
Yes.
Really? Thank you. SG 231602, the Knoll infrastructure works. Councillor Poole, I think.
Thank you, Chairman. I promise I won't get up too many times tonight. The Knoll, part of our enabling role, yet again, in Daventry. The Knoll was part of our original master plan drawn up by Marchini Curran. And it is now coming to fruition. We've got very good interest with 2 companies wanting to move in, and hopefully it will start to create a gateway into Daventry that we could be proud of. Apart from that, Chairman, as I said, we are the enablers in bringing employment and high-tech employment into the area. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder for that? Councillor Bunting. Any questions? So, can I move then that we accept that recommendation? Agreed. Thank you. SG 241603, the Stratton Neighbourhood Development Plan. Councillor James.
It's my first role in my new portfolio, strategic planning, having already done the spade work. SG 241603 is to seek approval of a decision statement in respect of the Stratton Neighbourhood Development Plan. Work on that is now complete. It has gone before the examiner and modifications as appropriate have been made. It is now up to us to recommend that it goes forward now for consideration by the electorate in Stratton in a referendum, and if over 50% of those who vote in that referendum approve it, then we will have the neighbourhood development plan from the time that the returning officer announces the result of the referendum. And I would like to put it forward.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Frenchman, I think, yes?
Yes, thank you, Chair. As many of you will know, this has been very close to my heart for a very long time. Has been through quite a rocky road in terms of village politics. Has caused quite a lot of ructions, I think we could say, of one sort or another. And I am very pleased to see that it's got this far, because I think it's vindication of the work that the village and the parish council has done. Obviously, there's still work to do to make sure that it passes the referendum, but I live in hope that that is what will happen, and I commend it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any questions on that? No. Can I move then that we adopt those recommendations? Thank you. We move on. SG 241604, Killsby Neighbourhood Development Plan. Councillor James.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, similar, this is a similar proposal to recommend approval of the decision statement in respect of the Killsby Neighbourhood Development Plan. It doesn't exactly coincide, I believe, with Killsby Parish, because part of that belongs to Derby, as it were. So the recommendation is that this go forward now to a referendum in which, as I say, over 50% of the people who take part in that referendum vote. If over 50% of them vote in favour, then Killsby will have its neighbourhood development plan from the time the returning officer announces the result of the poll. And I will put that forward to Council.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Robertson, I believe.
Thank you, Chair. Basically, it gives me great pleasure to second the proposition. As you all know, Killsby is one of those parishes that's under great pressure from development at the moment, and this is going to help greatly with the progress being made. Dirt is a big issue to them because half of it's in their Killsby, and I would like to wholeheartedly second the recommendation.
Thank you very much. Any questions on that? No. Can I move then that that be adopted as a recommendation? Thank you very much. And we come to the last one of these, which is the Maximore Primary School Business Plan. And can I remind members that this item refers to a report which included an appendix which contained exempt information pursuant to paragraph 3 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, otherwise known as Pink Papers. So it's not permitted to discuss at the moment in open forum anything that was in those Pink Papers, but we have a proposer, Councillor Hills, I believe.
Thank you, Chairman. As you can see, this is referring to the Monkmore Primary School business plan. I would like to refer the council to the recommendations which are there before you. And I'll make it briefly. Number one is the business plan be approved for the purposes of the financial regulation 4.61. Two, that the capital programme be amended with a revised budget of 5.038 million for the primary school, and it lists the profiles for 2015-16, 2016-17 and 2017-18. And three, the financial risks to the project be managed as identified in the business plan. I think it's worth noting that officer time is included within these costs. And when you look at the information point 4.1, this will be a split level site. We, as a council, are party to a Section 106 agreement for the construction of a primary school at Monkmore, as previously approved to forward fund this scheme with the benefits of additional primary school places. The completion was originally estimated at spring 2018. The revised business plan is aiming for completion September 2017, if Crest Nicholson are able to deliver the plan. Now, I gather we've got a good working relationship with them, and if we work together, there's a good chance that this can be achieved. As far as I'm concerned, the sooner the better. We know, and all councils know, that the county council is mainly responsible for education. But we as a council are fully committed to do all we can to help raise educational standards and help to improve the educational facilities on offer throughout the district and particularly in the town. Having spoken to some of the families with very young children, one of their reasons for moving to Monksmoor was due to the fact that a school was going to be built, and many of them have got young children who in a few years' time will be ready to start school, and that's the reason they moved there. The school will provide 315 pupil places and about 30 to 35 nursery places. This is the council's opportunity to try to bring this forward, to make an impact and show the district council's support for our children and families for their education. And I will ask all councillors to give their full support to this. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Hill, do you have a seconder for that? Councillor Morgan.
Thank you, Chairman. I wholeheartedly support Councillor Hill's recommendation. I would also like to second this. I think it actually shows great leadership from the District Council on this issue. I think if we look at the impact, particularly as ward members for the town wards, the number of queries we have about education in this town, particularly through campaigning, and I'm sure that's felt by all parties in the room. And I think this demonstrates that we're taking proactive leadership on this area, because we want to improve the education in this town and actually get on the front foot of the education in this town. Above all, I think we need to avoid some of the mistakes around Middlemore, which of course weren't the doing of the District Council, but actually the best way we can show leadership on this issue is by investing at the forefront on this. And I'd like to say I agree with Councillor Hills. Please support it, but I think it's a very good investment.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Hawkins.
Yes, as a town member, I just want to say that I support this, having a large interest in youth and education, especially as I have a young family myself, and also as this school will already have a good infrastructure in place. I fully support it.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Randall.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I don't think I'm going to ask anything that was in those pink papers. I just wondered, obviously, we're looking at bringing it forward a year, because originally it was going to be 2018, but obviously the developer was going to build this school. And I just wondered what evidence there was showing the need for those school places to bring it forward, a year early, and for us to obviously forward fund it.
Thank you. Councillor Poole.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm pleased that Councillor Morgan brought up Middlemore. Many times the district council have been ridiculed in press, radio, etc. with regards to Middlemore. It wasn't the district council. Let's get that on record. It was the county council who didn't fulfil. Yet again, this is another case of the district council, who are not the educational authority, working for the residents of this town. And, you know, I wholeheartedly agree with it, and I would thank the district council for bringing it forward. There is, and it's not questionable, there is a nationwide shortage of primary school places, and I think that should be noted. And also in the county there is a shortage of primary school places, so I have no doubt that this will be filled in no time whatsoever.
Thank you. Simon Bowers.
Thank you, Chairman. Just on that factual question, the County Council keep track of demand for school places as opposed to supply, and they are very keen to supply the schools as soon as we can, because they are in a shortage situation.
Thank you. I think that addresses the question. Can I ask for Council's approval to adopt this recommendation? Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. We move on rapidly. Item 18, review of the Constitution. Councillor Miller, are you going to propose?
I'm very happy to do that, Chairman. The revisions, obviously, of the Constitution is contained in this paper to be approved tonight, Chairman. There's one point actually under page 83, about halfway down under service delivery, where it says there, service delivery intrusion responsibility of chief executive and brackets or deputy chief executive in their absence to instruct a council controlled company such as DDC Operations Limited. I think the word we like to use is request, not the word instruct, if that's possible. Apart from that, I present the paper as contained.
Thank you. Do we
propose the proposal? Sorry, Chairman.
Thank you. Do we have a second of that? And then Councillor Warren.
Chairman, yes, the issue was actually raised earlier in the week. From our point of view, I think there were some concerns about being able to instruct a company that didn't have like any association with the council. Whereas in this case, what we've got in mind is our company, which we've got as an operations company ready to deploy, and the intention is to have an agreement with the council such that the company would have to act in accordance with that agreement, and therefore as officers we would instruct according to that agreement. So you can instruct and need to be concerned about dictating to company directors as to how they are to discharge the responsibilities. So it is able to be had. I think it's appropriate to say instruct rather than request, because I think if we have to deploy that company, we would certainly want to instruct.
Thank you very much. Can I ask...
Sorry, can I just clarify that, please? If we're going to have a subsidiary company and we're going to put a service level agreement in, which by its very nature is an agreement, to instruct the directors of a company means acting as a shadow director. And therefore I would question terminology you just used in your explanation, because I would be very conscious of the council being placed in a position where it can be deemed in law and liability as a shadow director.
Thank you. Chair?
Chairman, thank you. Note comment from Councillor Bunting, and did do a raise earlier in the week, as Simon Boak has said. We've gone over this very carefully. There is no shadow director written, because what we're talking about, we already have a company established on decision of this council called DDC Operations Limited. It's kept on the shelf, it's dormant in case we should ever need it. And its objects are set up simply that it is there to provide services on behalf of DDC if required to do so. It is therefore sort of technical companies under European procurement law. We don't need to go through a procurement process to use it. Now, strictly speaking, the directors of that company, I'm one of them, will have to decide when offered an agreement with DDC whether it's in the company's interest to accept it. And that decision we as directors will take without fear or favour, without a shadow director telling us what to do. But given the company's only business purpose is to carry out DDC services, provided the agreement is sensible, we would agree. Why wouldn't we? The company gave up make any money. So that's where the point of decision for the directors comes. The agreement is structured to provide an instruction system so that if the council needs something doing, it essentially says, do this, and the company then charges on a cost-plus basis back because the companies are at risk. So no shadow director is, we're happy we've dealt with that. And it is simply a straightforward mechanism to make sure that in the event of some calamity where we need something doing quickly, we can do so.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? No. Can we then move to accept the review of the Constitution as proposed?
Agreed.
Agreed. Thank you. We move on to the appointment of an independent person.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. This is related to code of conduct and inspector members' behaviour. We have a process which requires an independent person, at least one. We actually have three. Council agreed 3 in the past. We had one coming up to the end of their term and needed to recruit, which we did so. And I'm pleased to be able to recommend that Mr. David Knight, who gives the details of Mr. David Knight's papers, to actually be engaged in that role. And I would say that the previous holder of the position has done an excellent job, which I do also reference in the papers. But the whole point is to get our company up to 3. We are required to have at least 1 member of the representative.
Thank you very much. Do we have a proposer? Is that you?
Yes, Chairman.
Diana.
I don't really need to say any more apart from everything's down there. Simon Bogus said everything, so I'd like to propose it.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Frenchman. Any discussion? No. Can I move then that we adopt that we resolve that Mr. David Knight is appointed as the independent person until the 17th of May 2019, pursuant to the Localism Act 2011.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. We move on to item 20, the Phoenix Youth Centre Extension and Enhancement Project. Pages 91 to 100 in the papers that you have. Councillor Hill.
Thank you again, Chairman. I'd just like to emphasise that it says that it be resolved, it's not a recommendation, the word is slightly different.
Indeed.
It's be resolved. The report actually is regarding the extension and enhancement of the Phoenix Youth Centre. Now, I've said before many times in this chamber, the Phoenix Centre is one of the outstanding youth centres, not only in the district but within the county. It offers many ways for our young people to be involved. It's not just the gym section, there are other sections that are involved, and when completed will also offer additional facilities for the disabled, which I welcome. The District Council has supported this project from the very start, and I refer you to the advice that the delivery of the project is pursued. The budget is adjusted to £2.080 million to include additional Section 106 money and the indexation of 0.051 million as shown in the report. 3. Regarding 0.115 million of Section 106 money is reallocated, which basically means that some money already allocated is then used for that and then is replaced with other 106 money in the future. Briefly, it means you're moving money around to achieve your aims, moving Section 106 money around to achieve those aims. Regarding the 180k VAT, whilst this is most likely to be recovered, we always look at a worst case scenario and we have to cover all opportunities and eventualities. And if there is a shortfall, this is addressed, and I refer you to our preferred option 4 on page 96 of the report. And finally, item 5, that the capital programme is amended. That briefly sums that up. This again is an opportunity to move these improvements forward and increase the offer and improve facilities at the Felix Centre for our young people. The District Council has made a contribution, but funding has seen contributions from various sources. And to look at that, I refer you to the chart on page 94. I would mention that the promoters of Micklewall Park, namely Landfall, and other sources and other contributions, shows what can be achieved with good partnership working. And on my conversations with the centre, they certainly appreciate, and I'd like it recorded, the help and commitment of our officers to help them achieve this. Finally, I would refer Council to 5.5 on page 99. To me, this sums up the benefits to the community, to the town centre, leisure, and the benefits to our young people. And I would stress that again, the benefits to our young people, not just around the town, because people search it from far and wide. So I commend this to the Chamber today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. Seconded, Councillor Amy Howard.
Yes, I'm more than happy to second this. As I have, as I previously said, an interest in youth across the district, the Phoenix Centre project is more than a worthwhile benefit for the youth of this town and district. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any contributions? Councillor Randall.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, just looking on table 4, obviously it gives details of S106 contributions money. Are we saying that some of are they the ones that may be changing? And if so, I just would have liked to have seen what initially they were going to be used for, you know, and now what they're going to be changed to.
Thank you. Councillor Hill, are you able to address that?
Well, basically, what you're doing, you're taking money that's on 106 money that is allocated, and you're moving it in to bringing this project forward. And then you're replacing it with other 106 money. Simon Bowers may be able to enlighten me even more, but that's the way I see it. And I'm trying to put it simply because I think most people will understand what we're trying to do. But however, Councillor Randall is fully entitled to ask the question.
Chairman, thank you. It is complicated, I grant you that. There's a lot of money being sort of moved around to try and achieve this end. The best I can do is refer you to advice item 3, which identifies the cost centres which are currently funded by the 106 which is removed, which instead is funded from the Apex Park contribution. So nothing which is currently funded will cease to be funded. It's just the source of 106 is moved around. So I hope that helps.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure it does. Yes, Maria.
It might helpfully clarify, Chairman, that these Section 106 are very general headings and can be used for multiple purposes, often for the benefit of community facilities in Daventry. So it's not that a project is not happening because of this. They were very generic headings in the first place.
Thank you. Councillor Randall.
Yeah, just if I could just come back, Chairman. It was just that there was one, it was on the college residential site. You know, I know that residents were very keen on, obviously, my ward to have new play equipment, and it was something that I would have liked to have seen, and it was something that I wouldn't like to lose. That was all, Chair.
Yes, I think the point is noted. I think what we've just heard is that this is just money being moved around. Councillor Wayne.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. In layman's terms, all the officers are trying to say, Councillor Randall, is very simple, that this project to go ahead, we need to move money from A to B so that things will progress. The Phoenix Centre is very important, not only to this town, to the district, but to the people of this town. So let's not talk about a playground today that you were looking for in your particular ward, because the Phoenix Centre is a lot more important, involves the district. So let's not knock what we're trying to do, and let's look at working to put a playground in your Pacific ward at a later date. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, but I think all members are bound to stand up for their own patch on the side. Councillor O'Rourke.
I've got to say, as far as I see it, if the 106 money has been designated to something specific in that particular patch, that's where it goes. If it's general, like a lot of them are in Daventry, and not the particular one you were talking about, well then it can be used and it can be shifted around. But if it's designated one particular thing, it will be one particular thing.
Yes. I think that's probably the difference. Councillor Erling-Smith.
Yes, very quickly. If it's just pay equipment or not very expensive, she can go to a district county councillor with his empowered money and he can finance the pay equipment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's always helpful to have other sources of funding. Councillor Hill.
Yeah, I'd just like to sum up and say that if it's general 106 money, it enables you to keep your options open in some ways. And this is one of the best ways to use it, as far as I'm concerned, to support something that is going to give our children and young people in the town and in the district better facilities, improved disabled facilities. I understand where Councillor Reynolds is coming and she brought up the college, but that is something else. But what I would say is that we have a programme looking at the play areas at the moment, and we have been doing that. I think we spent something like £90,000 or something already on play areas. So it doesn't mean that the project is stopped. It's something that is ongoing, so it's something for the future. But I think that what we've got to do here, this has been on the card for a long time. It was 2015 when we originally started this. I want to see it move forward for the benefit of our children and young people as quickly as possible. I ask the council to support that.
Thank you very much. Councillor Shepherd, yes, he's got the money.
Chairman, thank you. My financial officer asks me to make a very small audit point, really, for the minutes, which is this. At the bottom of page 92, we're told the business plan had an approved budget of 1.833. That indeed was approved in November and approved by Council in December, and that is the correct figure. However, the figure of 1.5 million is actually shown in the February Council report, and that's wrong. So it's simply a matter to note in the minutes that the correct figure to date has always been 1.8, so not the figure in the February minutes. I said that was a small audit point, Chair.
No, it's important to some. I've always said that numeracy is not my fifth day. Can I have Council's approval for that we resolve those items? Thank you very much. Okay, before we move on to item 22, I'm asked to exclude the public and press from this point on for the remainder of the meeting in accordance with section 100A4 and part 1 of schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972.